A European giant is desperate to take a starter from Real Madrid still this season, and the merengue board might actually let him go. Yes, but with one very clear condition. And if that money hits the account, the squad is going to shake. And check this out. Real Madrid already has its sights on a new 19-year-old star who could arrive for only 20 million. The club is watching closely. Other giants want him too. And his name is already circulating in the Bernabeu hallways. Could he be the new Modric? And it doesn't stop there. One player from the main squad has been missing in the first matches of the season, lost his spot, and is now watching another signing take over his place. But he won't give up that easily. He's training like crazy to bounce back, and he could reappear as soon as the next match. And here's a bombshell from Fabrizio Romano about the midfielder many thought was coming to Real Madrid. It was all smoke. And even so, he remains on the club's radar, but only for 2026. Before I tell you all this, hit that subscribe button right now, bro. If you love Real Madrid like I do, this is your place. Here we live the club 24 hours a day with emotion, passion, and fire in our eyes. Now, let's talk about a name that left a lot of people confused in this last transfer window. Some fans thought the guy already had his plane ticket to Madrid, but in the end, the truth is that it was all fake. All baseless rumors. The player in question? Angelo Stiller, the brain of Stuttgart's midfield and one of the most consistent talents in the Bundesliga over the last 2 seasons. The press even reported that Real was already in advance talks that the deal was closed, but according to Fabrizio Romano, that never truly existed. Nothing signed, no formal proposal. Just internal conversations inside Real Madrid, analyzing the German's name. Yes, he was discussed by the board. Yes, they like him. But it never went beyond that. Now, even though the deal didn't happen now, don't be fooled. Real Madrid is still keeping an eye on Stiller. And do you know why? Because there's a man on the bench who knows German football like no one else. Xabi Alonso. He knows the player's value, followed his growth in the Bundesliga closely, and believes Stiller could fit perfectly into the playing style he wants to implement at the Santiago Bernabeu. The German is a modern defensive midfielder, but with the intelligence of a playmaker. He can control the tempo of the game, distribute clean passes from the back, and still push forward with quality. He can play both as a holding midfielder or as an interior, supporting offensive build-up. He's the kind of player Real has always valued. Technical, versatile, cerebral. And there's one more thing that makes it all even more interesting. Stiller is represented by Sports 360 GmbH, which is precisely the agency linked to our midfield monster, Toni Kroos. In other words, there's already a direct bridge between the player and the club's backstage. This could weigh a lot when the time comes to decide the future. The problem? Stuttgart knows they have a precious asset in their hands. That's why his contract runs until 2028 with no release clause. Taking him out now would be very expensive, and Real Madrid, as always, prefers to work smart at the right time. That's why Stiller's name is being reserved for 2026, when he'll already have more international experience and be more open to leaving Germany to take a bigger leap in his career. Meanwhile, his numbers speak for themselves. In the last Bundesliga, he played 31 matches, scored 1 goal, and handed out no less than 8 assists. A solid, consistent performance from someone who doesn't play to show off, but to make the team work. And that's exactly the profile Xabi Alonso values so much. So, Madridista, don't forget this name, Angelo Stiller. He may not have come now, but he's on the radar, in the plan, and has everything to wear white in the coming seasons. A possible successor for our legendary midfield, which is naturally going through renewal. Stay tuned, because if Kroos recommends, we listen. Now let's talk about a guy who represented a lot when called upon, but who's now going through a tough moment inside the squad. Fran Garcia, our left back who shone in the Club World Cup and suddenly disappeared completely from the first La Liga matches. Bro, if you followed Real Madrid's preseason in the United States, you saw the insane level Fran was playing at. He wasn't just a starter in several matches, he also scored in the victory against Borussia Dortmund in the quarterfinals of the Club World Cup at the MetLife Stadium. The guy was flying, Sprinting like lightning down the left, defending well, attacking with confidence, it looked like he had locked down the spot for good. But football is cruel, my friend. And do you know why? Because Real Madrid went and signed Alvaro Carreras, a reinforcement who made an instant impact. And when I say instant impact, I mean it. The guy simply took over the starting role as if he owned the left side of the Bernabeu. The result? Fran got 0 minutes in the first 3 La Liga matches. But here, there's no room for whining. Fran Garcia is a true Madridista with fire in his eyes, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to win back his place in the team. According to AS, the Spaniard accepted the competition, yes, but he hasn't lowered his head for a single second. On the contrary, the guy is training like a beast, giving everything in practice, running, pressing, adjusting his positioning, doing everything to show Xabi Alonso he cannot be ignored. And look, Xabi is a coach who values those who grind hard every day. He himself has already said in a press conference that he wants a squad with hunger to win. And that's something Fran has in abundance. And there's more. Even with Carreras on the rise, Fran has a very clear goal right now. He wants to surpass Ferland Mendy in the left-back hierarchy. And let's be honest, it's not impossible, you know? Because Mendy is always injured, he doesn't have the same explosiveness as before, and when he does play, he hasn't shown the same security of past seasons. Meanwhile, Fran showed in the Club World Cup and in preseason that he can deliver intensity, speed, and a lot more verticality in attack. Oh, and yes, there's hope in the air. The next La Liga round is against Real Sociedad, and according to the Spanish press, Xabi Alonso is planning to rotate the squad to rest some starters after the international break. And who is heavily tipped to make the starting X-scene? That's right, Fran Garcia. If he starts, my brother, mark my words, he's going to give everything on the field. He knows this is the golden chance to turn things around and lock himself into the rotation for good. And if he repeats the performances he had in the Club World Cup, especially against Dortmund and Monterrey, where he was impeccable defensively and still appeared well in attack, it's going to be very hard to take him out again. The fans are on his side, the squad respects his effort, and the coach likes his profile. Only one thing is missing: minutes on the pitch. And those minutes are coming. The bomb of the moment has a name: Rodrygo. The Brazilian forward is right in the middle of a true millionaire war between European clubs. And Real Madrid has already made it clear, if anyone wants to take the number 11, they're going to have to drop at least 80 million euros. According to the portal Fichajes, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola is completely in love with Rodrygo's football. He sees the Brazilian as a key piece for the citizens' offensive style of play. And get this, City is willing to pay the asking price. But wait, it's not just City chasing him. According to journalist Florian Plettenberg from Sky Sports Germany, Liverpool and PSG are also monitoring the star. PSG even tried at the end of the window, but they couldn't get him. And now they're expected to come back strong if Real's season allows. For now, Real Madrid is calm. Rodrygo hasn't asked to leave and is focused on the project with Xabi Alonso, who trusts the Brazilian's talent. But the message from the board is clear. If an 80 million offer comes in and the player wants to leave, it's a deal. And you know what's crazier? All of this is happening even after the transfer window already closed. Meaning, the soap opera continues and could become reality in January or mid-next year. Can you imagine losing Rodrygo in the middle of a season that promises so much? And to close this video with a golden key, let's talk about a young talent being closely monitored by Real Madrid, who could cost only 20 million euros. His name is Kees Smit, midfielder from AZ Alkmaar. At 19 years old, he's already considered one of Holland's biggest prospects and is drawing attention from Manchester City, Chelsea, and Bayern Munich too. But Real is one step ahead. Why? Because Uni Calafat, the man behind the club's spot-on signings, yes, the guy who found Vinny Jr., Rodrygo, Endrick, is personally tracking the kid. Smit played 18 matches in the last league, 9 as a starter, averaging more than 5 defensive actions per game and 1.3 key passes per 90 minutes. In other words, a modern midfielder who defends and creates. The idea was to sign him if Dani Ceballos left the club in the last window. Since Ceballos stayed, the deal cooled off, but only until next summer. the chances of Real investing in him in the next window are very high. If the other giants don't interfere, it's very possible we'll see another young star arriving at the Bernabeu to dominate the midfield in the coming years. So, Madridista, what an insane video today. So much hot news, transfer market backstories, position battles, and rising young talents. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel right now. Turn on the notification bell, because here there's no fluff, just information and love for the greatest club in the world, Real Madrid. Leave your like, comment your thoughts on the news, and share it with your Madridista friend who needs to know about these updates. Hasta el final, vamos Real. See you in the next video.